Live. Good evening, everybody. Nozzle Tov, hello. Pleasure to have everybody on. We are now live on the C.A.N Report. I'm happy to have you guys with me. And it's going to be an exciting night of conversation and brotherhood and firemanship. And we're going to talk about anything and everything. So with me tonight, I have Nate Sturm, Dan Now, Ian Schulte on the C.A.N Report. Guys, thank you very much for being on the show tonight.
Thank you, brother. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I'm excited. Hopefully everything is running smoothly. Hopefully it is streaming on YouTube and Facebook. I appreciate you guys for being on here. And real quick, I always like to make sure that people are chiming in. So if you haven't yet, please click like, subscribe. If you're not following me, please check it out. It helps me to know that you guys are liking what I'm doing and you're getting something out of it. So also, I also want to thank my my sponsor, Engine House Designs. He just came on as a sponsor, so I want to give him a shout out for this. I really appreciate what Cody Hill is doing. I met him in Mississippi at the Old South Fools Training Summit, and he's got great gear. He can outfit your department or your union, or even just custom work for yourself. So the big shout out to Engine House Designs LLC out of Tennessee. They're a firefighter-owned, family-operated business that's been repping the fire service since 2021. Engine House specializes in custom firefighter apparel, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, plus decals, flags, and patches. Whether you're looking for a single shirt or outfitting your whole department, they've got you covered with bulk pricing and top-tier quality. So check them out on Instagram, Facebook, or visit www.enginehousedesigns.com. Engine House Designs, ignite the pride. So give a big shout out to him. With that being said, we're hitting the ground running, and we're good to go. All right. So, Nate Sturm, let's start with you. If you can, sir, I would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, man. Well, first off, very grateful to be here, man. So I appreciate the invite. Looking forward to the great conversation. I know we're going to hit some pretty good conversations on leadership. A little bit of background about me, man. I will be 25 years in the fire service this February.
Wow.
I've spent. I'm currently ranked as a district chief. For some of those, it's like battalion chief. I run 3 stations, about 18 personnel on the north side of the city. We have 2 districts that are on shift. I've been doing that a little over 3.5 years now. And prior to that, I was a company officer, was a lieutenant on an engine for almost 13 years. Because we are going to be talking about leadership, it's something that I truly love to talk about. The first thing I want to preface before we get into conversation, especially when it comes to me, a lot of what I'm going to speak on is not because I got things right. It's actually quite the opposite. It's because I always got things wrong, and I was humble enough and held myself to a standard and held myself accountable, and I learned from my mistakes. So a lot of what I'm going to be speaking on is definitely going to be from errors and failure. And then lastly, you know, being a Christian man, I believe that my Savior Jesus has the greatest leadership qualities, and that's one whom I try to be every day. I try to, you know, serve as he would, and then that's kind of how I model some of my leadership when it comes to the professional side of the job.
Faith in leadership. I love it. All right. Dan, welcome to the show. If you can, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Dan Nowill. I'm a captain, which is a shift commander. So I operate in a battalion chief role, 2 stations, oversee 11 personnel. Been in the fire service 23 years full-time, 5 volunteer. Much like Mr. Sturm, I am very intrigued in the leadership aspect of the job, and much like him, I am intrigued because of my failures, and I have learned to fail forward when it comes to that. So it was a unique experience for me because there is no real formal programs out there to learn how to lead. So it's usually on the job. So it'll be nice to have a discussion with all you gentlemen about that sort of thing. So looking forward to it. And, you know, let's try this. Let's get this started.
Let's get it started. Yes, sir. Love it. Absolutely. Ian Schulte, my man.
Hey, my name is Ian Schulte. I'm the training chief or assistant chief responsible for fire training for the city of Pooler, Georgia. I've been a firefighter for 18 years, been a chief officer for just over 2 years at this point. I did about 10 years, give or take, as a company officer prior to that. My job right now is 5 stations. We have 76 personnel. We're a fire department that does medical first response, technical rescue. With that being said, the only expertise that I have in the avenue of leadership is, like the other 2 gentlemen, my failures as a leader. And the only thing that I want to see is other people not screw up in the same way that I do, and try and hold people accountable in the same way that I've been held accountable through the course of my career, and, you know, try and help create the best firefighters that we possibly can.
Amazing, man. I am so happy to have you guys on. Great intros from all of you. And you know, the biggest thing is, as I was writing down this, is failure. I love that you guys are hitting on that. I love that you guys want to talk about failure, because that is so key in growth and reflection and who we are as firefighters, leaders, family men, in everything that we do. I do strongly believe that we have to acknowledge our failures and learn from them. And that's going to start our topic, man, is leadership. And we were talking in the lobby before we started was holding the line, holding the standard, and talking about failures and such. And so we're going to start right off with it. So holding that standard, you guys, all of us can agree that when we have our newest employees and some of our oldest employees as well, that we have a standard that we adhere to. And, you know, we all respect our departments immensely. We respect the job. And so when you have people that are underperforming, how do we deal with that? Do you just say, you know, I'm done with you, I've tried 5 times, I'm cutting you loose? Or how do you educate and re-educate your people that are seem to be struggling the most? And I'll start with you, Nate. How do you enforce that?
From my perspective,
Yes, sir.
on new employees,
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, it definitely starts in our orientation. We normally put on a 10-week orientation for all of our new hires, and we have a pretty solid standard that we set in our orientation. That being said, when they get on shift, truth of the matter is, not all the lieutenants that they get assigned to are held to that, or hold themselves to that same standard, and I get it. From my standpoint, I've had to deal with it. I've had to pull new people aside. I've seen, because, you know, the one thing that I tell these new guys that come out of, we have fire standards in Florida. It's a little different than some places, but I've always met, every new person that I've met comes out super hungry and happy and positive and wanting to do the job. The negative, complacent side is always, to me, it's a learned trait in the fire service by poor leadership. And I always tell them to remember that first day they got that call for that job, and never lose that fire. If it means holding themselves to a higher standard than most and training on their own, then I'll go for it, you know, because that stuff is contagious, and it will grow from there. And then lastly, it just falls back on us as leaders. If we are not holding ourselves to those standards, if our expectations of others, and especially our crew members, are greater than our own actions, then we're garbage. You know, that's just bottom line. We need to be holding ourselves to the same standard that we expect them. If I want you training, and I want you fit, and I want you in gear, then I need to be doing the same stuff. And that's just the bottom line when it comes to being an officer.
Absolutely, man. I love that. I love too that you hit on right there, that tail end of that. We need to be fit, that we need to be in gear, that we need to be doing the same thing that we're expecting our other new employees to be doing. If we're on that drill yard, we should be sweating with them. We should be doing that sweat equity and show them that we are capable of doing the same thing that we expect of them. And how do you expect that buy-in if you're not doing the job with them and teaching them how to do that job? We all could stand in the drill yard and point fingers. That's easy. but like doing the gear, putting on the gear and showing them how to throw a ladder or showing them how to do a search, the crawl, walk, run method. And we need to show them how to do that. And so Dan, I'll kick it off to you, man. So with the same question.
Yeah, I think that, it needs to start with your recruitment too, right? So I think you see the flyers for departments, and a lot of them have this like ladders in the air with the big fire that departments had like 6 years ago, right? And fire duty's down, especially for a lot of departments, so they don't realize that 70% of your runs are EMS and that sort of stuff. So there's this like false narrative that you're providing these kids coming in, right? So they're expecting to come in and kick down doors and save babies, when they realize that the majority of the job may be something else, right? Where it's resetting fire alarms, going on EMS runs, or doing something other than actually fighting fire. So you have to be like honest to your recruits that are coming in, right? And then you have to set your expectations as a department and saying like, this is the standard that we set. We expect you to come in, conduct yourself with this, that every call is an emergency. You put the public first. It's a service above self mindset, right? That every call is someone's emergency. We're there to serve them, right? And that's just the having a values based culture. We're in the process now of making that transition. Created a strategic plan, altered our mission and value statement, and started to realign our core values. So since I think every department has a fairly young employee force, and in all ranks, I'm pretty new at my job. Our lieutenants are pretty new at their job, and our firefighters are obviously pretty young. So this is a good time to have that change in values and mission and vision statement. So those are the things that we're going to start doing. So we have aligned the standards to meet like core values. We're going to change our evaluation process to reflect values as more as opposed to like, your your shirt will be buttoned up to here, right? Or your hat will be on frontwards, or something like that.
Hard to see how this is going to go.
I did watch that one, but but you know what I mean, like, and those are the things that where you need to just, and if they're not holding that value standard, they may not be the right person. We've already had the discussions of like, are we hiring the person, right? We need to hire the people, and we can train them to be the firefighter or the EMT at this point. So obviously there's a logistical hurdle when it comes to training, but we're starting to like realize that might be something that we're willing to sacrifice to get the right people in the door. So
love it.
And that's kind of where we're at with that.
Yeah, service over self, my friend. I like it very much. Ian.
So I guess going back to the original essence of the question, I just want to make sure that I'm square here. How do we tell a recruit or a person that they're not necessarily meeting the mark? Because that's okay.
Yeah, your standards and how you're holding those up.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure. So the biggest thing for me is, as far as it goes, when it comes down to it, as a training chief, essentially the gatekeeper between who works here and who doesn't, having to balance the needs of the recruits and the recruit needs, the needs of the instructional staff to make sure that they're supported, have all the logistics they need, as well as balancing the needs of the floor, making sure that they're getting quality personnel coming through. And lastly, and the most important part, is the needs of the public, making sure that we have quality care providers who are coming out onto the street to work with them. The biggest way to, on my end, to make sure that we're getting the product that we want is, day one, we have to have defined expectations. That's defined expectations for recruits. That's defined expectations for instructors. Like Chief Sturm was talking about, being out there, being there with the gear on, or the way that Dan was talking about, making sure that your expectations and objectives are in line with your organization's core values. Making sure that we're providing a clear example for all of our recruits I want to make sure that all the skills are being demonstrated by the instructional staff. I want to make sure that instructors are out there with gear on, going pound for pound with recruits when and where possible. And if I'm going to be out there, I'm going to try and be the example. You know, today I was out with recruits. We were doing one of our organizational rites of passage and was doing as much as I could with the recruits prior to having to dip out to actually, you know, go do desk jockey stuff because that's what the city pays me for. When we start seeing recruits who are running into problems, the last thing that somebody should ever be when you sit down with them and you have to give them one or two options that basically states that you're not working here either way. It's just your choice of how you go. That should never be something that blindsides them. We should be having open, honest communication with them, providing them periodic evaluations, getting them feedback on what they need to be doing to increase their performance, and giving them a plan by which they can improve. So, you know, I use in my organization a series of evaluations that are upwards, meaning that recruits evaluate instructors. So that way I get good feedback on my instructors, downwards, which means that my instructors are evaluating the students. And then I get peer evaluations as well. So the recruits are evaluating each other. So that way I can try and get a full picture of the performance of everyone within the organization and how they're coming together. It is very time consuming, but at the end of the day, it gives me more feedback. So that way I can kind of start pointing people in the right direction. If I'm having issues with instructors, I sit down with instructors and say, hey, you're not providing the example that you need to be providing. Or sitting down with the students and telling them that, hey, you're not meeting the expectations of the instructors. You're not doing the number of reps, you're lagging behind in PT, whatever it may be. So that way they can kind of pick up, you know, the pace. So that way we see less attrition in recruit school. Sorry, I had to think of the word there real quick.
Man, he nailed it, dude. You guys are fantastic about it, and I love these topics. I love the situations that you hit on. And honestly, we'll go back to with the failure of it. Does that your failures that you have had in the fire service that you guys have been hitting on, does that help you to be better leaders? Does it help you to give a more of an understanding of how to really connect with, especially the newer people, the ones who may be a little more hesitant and reluctant to really try because they're afraid of failing? Do you show that failure is a learning tool? And whoever wants to chime in.
Yeah, I absolutely do. Like I'll be the first to admit my mistakes, and I will tell you from the expectation, if I just want to back up on the expectation, it's pretty cool to hear Ian from a training division talk on that topic because he's dealing with recruits from the beginning. We're dealing with me and Dan here are dealing with crews that have already been established, and a new guy may be placed in periodically into that puzzle, and we're managing it from a different aspect. That expectation piece, that's one of the failures that I learned in the beginning, is not being a leader for a long time and learning as you go. I never set those expectations from day one, and that really hurt me down the road when I started realizing I started taking leadership. You know, I say leaders are born, but great leaders are built. You know, and you got to take leadership classes. You got to be humble. You got to be accountable. You got to be willing to learn from your mistakes. Yes, is it true that leaders come from all position? Absolutely. And are leaders born? Absolutely. But every great leader that I know, they just didn't become that. They were built into that. They built themselves into that. And part of that is being able to admit your failures. And that big one was the expectation piece that I had to learn. You know, when you have someone come in and you don't set those expectations, it's the I didn't know. And how long do you let that go? I've changed that over the years. I've been in leadership now for quite some time, but I flip the script too. Not only do I set expectations when I get new assignments or new crew members or whatever, whether I'm sitting down the entire crew or it's a new person that gets assigned to our shift, I will lay forward my expectations, but I always like to end the conversation with what are their expectations for me as their leader.
And I see. I was going to ask that question, as I think that's such an important thing to ask others. And I absolutely love that you just said that, because I want to hear from the guys who are coming in. We can blab in their face all day long. You must do this. You must do that. My expectations, this and this and that. And I want you to do this. Don't disappoint me. But at the same time, I don't want to disappoint them. Now, I'm not an officer, but I do help train our newest recruits. So, but I want to know what their expectations are. Absolutely. And I love that you said that. It's a humbling thing to be able to hear that from our newest people. How can I help you? And I don't want you to fail. So help me to not help you, for you not to fail. And I think that's such an important thing. And you were just nodding your heads in agreement with that, because that's not many people do say that, right? Not many people say, like, I want to hear from them. What is their expectations of me?
And you'll be surprised. It's actually pretty cool. You'll be surprised by the amount of when you tell it to someone who's never experienced that cruise. It's kind of funny to watch the expression on their face, because it kind of takes them back. But when you've created that environment that's inviting and open discussion, it's actually pretty awesome, because whether it's the rookie firefighter or the 15-year lieutenant that you have on your crew, to hear what their expectations of you are, it's pretty awesome. And I always highlight it with, or I don't want to hear about bashing of your previous. Let's just go into expert. Like, what do you expect from me? Because my main job is, how can I make you successful today? And that's the bottom line.
Absolutely. Guys, you got anything to chime in for that one? Please do.
Yeah, I agree with 100%. And what I also did is during annual reviews is I started having my members send me anonymous reviews of myself. And that was huge for me. So not only, because I think it's important to have expectations for me, but like I think it's important to be like anonymously tell me what I can do better. And I was like, the first time I did it, I was like, oh boy, here we go, right? And it was actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that was important. And there was things that I could do. There was things that they wanted done on shift, and it was stuff that I could immediately implement. And now that I do it every year, so it's fun, and it makes us a little bit more cohesive as a shift. So yeah. And it's humility, it's introspect, right? It's how to make yourself better. Yeah. And it shows that you care about being better to them, I think.
No, absolutely right. Ian, what are your thoughts on it?
I 100% agree. I do something slightly different, and I try and foster lines of open communication, especially with the two guys who work with me every day. And so after their annual performance evaluation, because what I put in there actually affects their pay. I give them the same piece of paper afterwards, after I sit down with them, and I make them fill out the exact same evaluation, and I make them basically sit in my seat and have that same conversation with me. And I want them to be open. I want them to be honest, because I need that same feedback from them, but I'm also trying to train them to have hard conversation, because it's not easy to be able to step up to your boss and say, hey, these are some things that you could do better. But what I've seen in the fire service is there's a whole lot of people who will do a lot of barking, but as soon as your back's, they'll do a lot of barking when your back's turned, but as soon as they're face to face, they're not going to tell you what it is that you need to hear. And we all have blind spots as individuals. There's things about myself that I don't necessarily know that other people can pick up on me, whether it's tics or just personality traits. And these are things that I'm trying to figure out, so that way I can be a better leader within my organization and a better servant of the people who work for, they don't work for me, I work for them. But people that I get to work with every day.
Oh man, you guys have hit that home, man. What a home run on those. And actually, Nate, and you talked about great leaders are built, right? They're born, but they're also built. And I talk a lot. I've had a lot of conversations with people in my department and outside my department. A lot had to do with educational courses and classes. And what are your, like, it's some people's like, you don't need a lot of classes to be a leader. Others like, you do need leadership classes. And I love that you're laughing, because it's I think another topic that people talk a lot about. And I believe in leadership courses. I believe in leadership classes, but I don't believe that necessarily is going to make you a good leader. It's going to make you educated. but I think you still need that knowledge in those classroom settings. So what do you think about that, Nate?
I mean, you can have the education, but you can also have ignorance.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, just because you read something and you understand it, I mean, if you don't put it to practice, yeah. So I agree. I mean, that's the flip side to education. Are you using your education? I'm a huge supporter of education. I've always said it. Like I said, I'm going on 25 years. You know, the day that I feel like I can't learn any more about the job, then it's the time to hang up my boots.
Yes, sir.
We learn every day on the job, and I learn every single day. I don't necessarily mean it in the sense of degrees and that sort of thing, but there are many certifications we can hold in many classes, whether it's technical, leadership, whatever you want to call it. So I'm a huge proponent of education from all aspects. I mean, this job is ever learning. I mean, it truly is. Like I said, I'm going 25 years in, and I'm still learning, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm still learning on all. I don't even know what else to say about it. I'm just big on, I'm big on education. I laugh. Do you need it? Yes, I feel you need it, because it's the only way. I mean, you have to be taught education. It doesn't necessarily mean receiving a degree or certificate, but we have to educate ourselves in this profession by taking classes, attending conferences, going out and getting certifications. Maybe like we have state certifications, or going and get degrees. Yes, it all matters and it all makes you better if you utilize it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would agree too. Is that education is a nonstop thing, right? And I would say that certifications to me are not important. Just went to Castro's 2-day seminar Monday and Tuesday last week in Reading, and it was probably one of the better classes that I've taken in a long time. And you know, I didn't get a certification from that, but it's immediate. But it's an immediate. There was immediate tools that I could implement right away, and then there was some strategies that we could put in long term to change the course of our department and how we manage incidents. However, you know, I think that also having the degree and getting polished is important when you get into that executive role. When you're dealing with city council or mayors and whatnot, I think that fire chiefs probably should have some sort of decorum in that regard. You know, not really my jam, but you know, I think that you take knowledge, experience, and judgment, and you combine all those things together, and that creates wisdom, right? And that's what ultimately you want from your officers, is some sort of wisdom. So, you know, paper's paper, and when you're out in the street, that doesn't matter because the paper's back at the station. And I just have an innate fear of standing in front of something and not knowing what to do. So that's why I always train. You know.
Absolutely. What do you think, Ian?
So as the resident Lord Commander of Alphabet Soup, as my friends love to remind me, it's simple, man. Training is only as good as the instructor passing off the information. Education is only as good as the instructor who's passing off the information, and it's only as good as the student's willingness to understand the subject matter, willingness to be involved in the subject matter, and their willingness to apply it. Dan's absolutely right. You know, none of my degrees have ever commanded a fire. None of my officer 1 through 4 has ever, you know, managed an incident. But all those things have helped me prepare to manage the organization at the upper administrative and executive level. It's been extremely helpful, and I believe that it's extremely important. But at the end of the day, a firefighter out there does not need to go get any of these certifications or any of these degrees to be able to go, you know, provide quality service to the public. And there's company officers and chief officers out there who may never have a degree, may never have all of these certifications, but can be quality leaders in the fire and emergency services. It all comes down to how you take the information and the experiences that you have and how you apply it. As a young guy, you know, I was 34 when I made training chief. I needed to have some of that education stuff to kind of fill in those gaps that I didn't have with critical life experience. So with that being said, it has its place, but you can't be too hyper focused on education and certification, because it's only as good as the people teaching it and the people willing to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just think it was fitting that actually we just kind of came into that conversation. I'm wearing my Captain G shirt. So I thought that honestly, these questions are really fitting for that. You know, quote that for Captain Gustin, never stop being a student, learn and share something new every single day is just what you guys said, you know, is that we don't want to take those classes. We need to educate our minds. And Chief Sturm said, right, like if I come to the day that I feel like I can't learn anything more, or I know it all, then it's time to hang up the boots and ship on out. And it's ever changing, and not every like Dan, you said, right? Like you attended Castro's class, you didn't get a cert out of it, but you got knowledge, you got experience, you got education, and
I'll take it.
And
I'll take it any day,
and you'll bring it back. And that's what the great thing is too. And in these training, these conferences, is that. I was just talking to my captain about this the other day, is that what's great about these classes and what I love going to these conferences is that they all want you to get this knowledge, absorb it, and bring it back and teach your members and teach your state about this important information that they're giving. And, you know, where they'll freely give you their slides to help make the education more informative. You know, if you ask them, like, and usually at every presentation, here's my slides, or here's my email me, and I'm going to give you everything that I just gave you so you can give it back to your department. That's the beauty of the fire service, is that you don't have to try to, you know, take all your notes and pictures. It's like, I love it when the instructors say, don't worry about taking all my notes. I want you to look at me. I want you to look at the screen. I want you to pay attention to what I'm telling you, and I'll give you everything at the end of the class, and then guys can give it back. So as leaders, you can educate your department and make them better without saying, I have the alphabet at the end of my name, so I'm high and mighty because I've taken all these classes. No, I'm going to the same class as you are, and we're going to learn it together. We'll bring it back, and we'll educate everybody else. And I think that's it's awesome that you guys are on the same page with that. So
yeah, I do it. I hand my stuff out anytime anybody asks. Like if I have a slide presentation that someone wants, I don't even think twice. Here you go. You know, even if it took me 8 hours to put together, I don't care. You know, that's it. Please share it with your department, because if it saves a life, I don't give a shit. You know, right? That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
It's not a competition.
Yeah.
Right? We shouldn't be hoarding knowledge and experience. I'll get off that topic real quick, because kind of we're talking about in the lobby is that I feel lately it's been kind of competition, or you when you start doing more and educating more, it also can put that target on your back and be like, well, where did you learn this from? Who taught you that? And you start listing off all those important educators that are out there that are giving this knowledge to us. And that's our job, is to give it without competition, without worrying about adding a price tag on it. You know, I feel that we should be giving this knowledge and information for free. And, you know, if there's somebody who's asking you for it, I know everything comes with a price tag, but
tell that to my girlfriend.
But there's times like, you know, I understand that people need to make money, but at the same time, if someone's reaching out to you and say, hey, I need this information, I'm starving for knowledge, can I have some of that? Do we put a price tag on it, or do we give it to them? What do you guys think?
So, if you don't mind, anything I believe that, from speaking to me, anything that I do is for the job. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with Ian Schulte. So I have banners that I have on the drill yard. They're 4x8 banners, so that way I can organize my thoughts whenever I'm instructing. I've had people ask me like, hey, can I buy one of those banners from you? Do you sell those? The only thing I'm asking for is just make me whole. I will send you the exact cost of what it costs me to have one of these made up, or I'll send you the PDF file. You can have the PDF file and you can take it to your local sign shop. They can build it out for you. I don't care. This is just information that I put together. It is the intellectual property of the fire service. I don't need to make a dime off of it, you know, because again, it's not about me. It is about the job. It is about making the job better for everyone and providing a better quality of service to the public. So Nothing that comes from me comes with a price tag.
Yeah, I love the banner idea though. That's actually a really smart idea. It's I might have to do that one day. I think that's great.
I got tired of rewriting the same stuff over and over on plywood every time I went to a drill yard.
I think that's very cool. Chief, what do you think?
I'm just in the same boat, man. I always just pull it back to, do you truly want to leave it better than you found it? And that's what I hinge on. And that's nothing that anybody out there is teaching. I don't care who they are. They had to learn it from somewhere. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
not their information. Somebody had to teach them, and they're blessed enough to go around and teach it, then teach it. It's anytime we have an opportunity to make the fire service better, and that's through the training and education or whatever we learn in the fire service to make it better, share it. Like you said, don't hoard the knowledge, man. And that's the bottom line for me, man. I go out there, if I take a class, and I encourage, how many times, I can tell you how many times I've had these, I tell these rookies all the time, never be afraid to talk in these conferences or never be afraid to talk in these classes. And if you have an idea, please share it, because I've learned from the 2-month probie who said, hey man, can you try this? And we tried it and it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, man, just share it.
Absolutely. I love it. And so with that, like with sharing it and trying to make sure that people are understanding our mission and our purpose. And when you have these new people to understand these things, and you're talking about expectations, what is your leadership style? Because you're all different. You all come from different regions. So what kind of philosophy or leadership style do you guys implement when you're, whether you're doing stuff like for Ian, you're in the drill yard, Dan, you're in the field, Chief, you're in the field. Like, what are you guys doing to help with leadership and how to really, drive your message home? Because some leaders are yellers, right? Some leaders are screamers. Some leaders they use fear tactics, or I wouldn't say leaders. Some officers use fear tactics. So there's all these different types of it's all, you can see it all over social media, right? Everyone's pitching about leadership. But I think that there's some really good leaders out there. And that's honestly why I had you guys on this platform, because I believe in you guys. I love your mission and I love what you guys are doing in the fire service. And you are amazing officers, amazing leaders. So I want to know, for the people out there, what is it? How do you do your leadership style? Where did you learn from? Anybody can go in.
I guess I'll start, because I had a presentation that I did up at Lakes Region, and I kind of talked about leadership a little bit. And I think that leadership's a little bit of a practice, and it has a lot to do, and it's a lot of a theory, because it has a lot to do with like organizational culture and your crew and the people that you work with and what they bring to the table. So it really is kind of all over the place. I myself believe in like decentralizing my leadership a lot. So I don't really involve myself, or try not to. I always go back to that graphic of the manager versus the leader, where the dude's sitting on the block directing, or he's down on the rope pulling. And I've never really sat well with that graphic, because sometimes you have to be kind of both, right? You have to be moving up and down the rope depending on who you have for a crew, right? So I would say that my leadership style is it's a pretty dynamic, depending on where you're at, and how involved you have to be. If you have young lieutenants who are not as adept in their skill set from a tactical level, you have to have your nose in the business a little bit more, and you can't be as decentralized as you want to be. And this is in the field, right? This is leading in the field. Whereas you have some more seasoned lieutenants, you can be a lot more decentralized and a lot less up their ass, if you will. And in the house, I try to be very decentralized and let the lieutenants run and manage their crews and their houses and plan their days out, and just kind of like be aware of what's going on. and like keep your ear on the rail, if you will, and pay attention without being obvious.
Gotcha.
And that's just kind of how I am. I don't want to be up in their shit, and that's just really my leadership style, I think. But it really has to do with your crew and your culture.
Yeah. You're not a micromanager. You're letting them. You have your expectations. You have they have the understanding of what you expect, and you don't need to stand over them and watch every move they make.
Right. Yeah. And I just think that as a leader, you just have to be very, very solid in the job, and you can't half-ass it. And I think that my crew especially knows that, and I'm a little hard, but they know that I care for them and don't want them to get hurt. But I stay out of their business. That's for sure.
What do you think there, Chief? What do you think, Sturm?
No, I'm with him, and he hit a couple things that I'm sitting there just shaking my head on. Absolutely agree with. I run 3 stations. I live at one with another firehouse, and that's the first thing I tell them on day one when I got put out there. This isn't my house. I'm a guest here. I'm not here to step on their toes. I'm not here to run their show. This is your house. I'm a guest. It's whatever you guys want to put forth, and I let the lieutenants run it. I'm very big on that. I call them every morning, see how they're doing. I set up my day just by with what can I do to help you be successful today, whether it's organizing training or resources they need. I'm big on care, man. I think you can't put a price tag on loving your people and caring for your people. To me, that is the number one quality, in my opinion, a true leader should have for his or her people, is the care and love for them and going out of their way for them and letting them know. I'm big. I have 3 stations. You can ask my crews. I love to rotate every other shift. I have dinner with those crews. I'll sit out there for a couple hours a night if I didn't get a chance to get out there during the day. Maybe get a workout in, get a training session in, and then I'm having dinner and coffee and hanging out and sitting by the table for hours. And I try to keep that rotation in with all my crews. I'm definitely not a yeller. I don't believe in that. I mean, there a time that you may have to get a little loud? Absolutely. But I'm pretty big on praise in public, discipline in private.
Love it.
And that's the way I try to go about it. Obviously, if safety or something is an issue, you got to handle it then. But if there are things that you can handle in private, you handle in private. But I think you should always praise in public. I don't know. And that's just me, man. I love my people. And I like I said, I care for others is the number one. Servant leadership, having humility, compassion, accountability. I mean, they're just.
Chief, where did you get that love? Where did that come from?
Well, I told you from the beginning, man, and this isn't always how I always was. I like to joke. I'm a man of faith. All right. So I'm a Christian. You have BC Nate before Christ, and you have AD. That's why I like to joke with people about that. But I truly do, man. In my faith and in my life, when you talk about, for me, Jesus as a leader and all of the qualities of who he was as a man on this earth, and what servant leader, compassion, humility, vision and purpose, integrity, truth, empowerment to others. God, there's the courage, the sacrifice, like he had it all. And that's just truly for me how I want to live my professional life, but also my personal life, is to be more Christ-like. And I wasn't always that way as a leader. I'm just being honest about that. I learned the hard way by failing. But the one thing that I've learned over the years more than anything else is the care and love for others. And that goes a long way. I'm not afraid to cry with them. I'm not afraid to open up. I'm not afraid. I share with them. I mean, my doors are open, and I create those environments to where the rookies feel comfortable talking to a district chief.
Absolutely.
I create that open environment.
I love how raw you are, and I've listened to you on some podcasts, and I got the opportunity to obviously to see you in person in Georgia, and to give your presentation. And what you have to say to everybody is always so beautiful and raw and open, and I always get so much out of it. And I love that you give that back to your crews, though. It's not just for show, right? Like you're not just I'm in an audience right now, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna preach for a second, but no, it's you're giving your message, and your faith, and your what you believe in is carried into your work ethic.
I'm a
And
brother first. That's the way I look at it. I'm a brother first. Yeah, I have a title as district chief. I don't demand respect. That's not the way I operate. I love my people. If you love your people, you'd be amazed at what people will do for you.
I
Just
love
put
it.
it that way.
Yeah,
And I can think about all the people that I love in my life and what I would do for them. And it's the same thing in our job. You love your people and you're genuine about it and you truly show that you care. Man, people will run through brick walls for you, bro.
100%, sir. Absolutely. Ian, what do you think about it?
I absolutely believe in everything that Nate's saying. Hard part is working in an organization where you have to build your people from the ground up. It becomes difficult trying to be that brother first while also trying to be the steward of the organization. So the best thing that I can do is try and be an example. Whether it's a good example is what my ultimate goal is to be, but ultimately good example or bad example. When you make mistakes, you own it publicly. You admit your failures, you work on a program to move forward, and try not to make that same mistake. But when it comes down to leadership, to me, it's person dependent. Working in the environment that I'm in, some guys are used to being yelled at because that's what they did for 12 years in the military. And so if you're not yelling at them, they're not going to get the message. Or some of those guys, they're tired of that life and they want to be treated like a human being. And so they don't need that. But it's learning what every person specifically needs to be led, because what might work for Mike isn't going to work for Nate or isn't going to work for Dan. So figuring out what every person individually needs in order to satisfy that part of their life where they're willing to take the information that you have, that feedback, and move forward, I think is extremely important. You have to know when you need to push somebody, you have to know when you need to pull somebody, and you have to be able to read some of their social cues that they're giving off that day on where they're at with their headspace.
Yeah.
Because if I can yell at a guy one day, he might have had a bad night with his old lady at home, got into a fight, and I come in and I start, knife handed and yelling at him, then he's just going to shut down. That doesn't really work. So we have to be dynamic in our approach to people. And again, yes, try and be a brother first and foremost, but also maintaining on my end at least a little bit of professional distance, because I might have to sit across from somebody and slide them a piece of paper that says, "Hey man, sorry it didn't work out, but we're gonna have to part ways." So it's a little bit more difficult on my end to maintain that same level of love, at least as far as the recruits go. But when it comes to my guys that work directly for me every day, we have a really good working relationship, open door policy. Any one of the guys, whether they're, firefighter who's fresh on the floor, company officer, battalion chief, doesn't matter. They want to talk to me about something personal or even professional. Come on in. I'll make time for you today. We'll talk, and I'll help you through whatever issue you may have, help you out with whatever I can, because legitimately, I do believe in caring for my people. Even the guys who don't necessarily care for me, if they ever came to my office and said they needed something from me, be the first person to step up and say, "How can I help?" Because unfortunately, dealt with the reality of guys who are no longer with us, whether that's by their own hand, by accident, whatever it may be. And I don't ever want to see that happen to anyone else if it's within my ability to be able to help that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, you guys nailed that for sure. And anybody watching or listening, feel free to shoot me a message, comment, so we can answer any of your questions you might have, or if you got something that you want to chime in with, please, by all means. That's what this live platform is for. So if anybody wants to shoot a question, or again, or have an answer to some of these questions, please, by all means, just shoot them right here. I can see them and we can answer away and have a great conversation. But man, you guys absolutely nailed it. I love everything that you guys have had to say on that. caring for your crews, is caring for your people, bringing that love. And you want them to love the job too. Cause man, like you said, you start doing knife hands on everything that they're doing and you're yelling and screaming at them, they're going to come home pissed off at their family and just complain about work all the time. And I, like with you, Chief Sturm, I absolutely love it. Like, express love, express the fact that you care about them. Same thing that you said, Dan, like show your crew that you love them, that you care about them. That's what they want. We label our fire station the firehouse. We call ourselves brothers and sisters. We call ourselves family. Like, express love, show that you care, bring that in there. It's not being soft. It's showing that you are family and that we see the baddest shit and the nastiest shit together as a family. We should support each other in that. So it's okay when something bad happens that I feel comfortable to going to my battalion chief and say, man, chief, that was tough. And I need to talk to you. And instead of, like I said, that kind of militaristic style where you don't talk about it and you're afraid to go to your drill sergeant, because you're going to get yelled at. You have to suck it up and go back to whatever you're doing. But we need to have that love in the fire service. And we want our guys and girls to be able to talk to our officers or the senior guy or whomever without fear of being labeled as weak. And I know, like for Chief Sturm, you've dealt with it personally. You've been very open with everything that has gone on in your career and your life, and I love that you're able to harness that and bring that into everyone's world that meets you. And same thing with you guys. It's just we need more of that. We need more of that understanding of love and affection for our crews. And do you think now also, Chief, I'll go with you first. Do you feel that helps with your retention? Do you feel that you are holding on to your crews and to your employees more because you have more of that open door, because people know that it's a safe environment and that Chief Sturm gives a shit about me, that he cares, and that I don't want to leave that?
Absolutely. It's the same. Listen, I can, without having to get on to somebody for doing something stupid or whatever, I just have to look at them and words don't even have to be exchanged. They know they've let me down. You love them, but I've spent the years establishing my standard. People know what my standard is when it comes to the job, and I hold myself accountable and I'm humble, and all that stuff matters, and I love my people and people know my standards. So when people act up or people whatever, I don't really have to say something. I mean, it's typically without even saying words. I already know the message has already been sent, and because they know the standard that I set and that I expect them to hold as well. And I have been, I hate saying this because it's hard to say because I don't want to sound cocky or whatever.
I got you, sir.
But it is sad when the years I've been doing this and guys and gals will come to you because I have shared with them or because I do genuinely care about them and love them and have these open conversations and whatever. And they've never experienced this before. Or they've never been in an environment that promoted the mental health aspect of it and being able to share and talk. Like, it's sad. And I don't want to toot my own horn. I don't want to sound like that, but it's sad that in today's world, we're still battling that. We're still battling officers who really don't give two shits about their crews, and it shows.
Yes, sir.
It shows, and I am passionate about that.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I think we all know my history as well. I've been pretty open about it, and I agree wholeheartedly, Chief. And it's a subject that I'm passionate about, and I feel that when we talked about Ian, you talked about it real quick, with losing our brothers and sisters to certain aspects for whatever reason. I feel that there's an issue that's going on, an underlying issue that we're not talking about with suicide, with our fire service, that I don't think it's just marital or financial issues that these things are happening. I feel that some of these situations that are happening is because leadership has failed them, because the love and affection in the firehouse is not there, and they don't know what to do, and they feel embarrassed, or they don't know where else to turn, and they turn to the baddest thing that there is. And when you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, and you feel like you're embarrassed or going to be villainized or ostracized, man, when you're alone in the fire service world, it's a bad feeling. It's a real bad feeling. And I feel that some of our brothers and sisters don't know where else to turn, and so that's what happens. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're all in the generation that went through where we didn't talk about it, and I've been pretty open with my crews, at least, that I had a good solid 5 years of you know drinking my way through problems. You know, blew up a marriage. My older kids dealt with a pretty shitty dad for a period of time, and when we were able to turn the aircraft carrier around on mental health and really address it with these younger kids and be like, hey, like, let's get ahead of this, and it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to seek help. Actually, let's encourage it, because we don't need you drinking a fifth of Jack Daniels by yourself in your living room and thinking about like how shitty life is by yourself. That's not appropriate behavior. Where that's how we used to just deal with our problems, right? So we have a pretty robust mental health program through our union and our administration at the firehouse here where I work. So the young kids are looking at it more as like training, or they go and get a tune-up if things go a little bit, and it's embraced, right? It's not even questioned. It's not looked down upon. It's elevated.
Yeah.
So especially by the senior guys, right? So it's not even uh, go do it.
Yeah.
And it's important, right? And so I wish that we had that attitude when I was a little bit younger. Maybe things would have been different, But it's huge. It's important.
Yes,
So,
sir. Absolutely. And Dan, thank you for being that raw
yeah.
and talking about it too. I mean, all you guys,
Yeah.
it's important, because how effective are you as a leader if you can't be honest with people and you can't talk about some of those darkest secrets? Because they're not even secrets. I mean, they're there. Like, and if you come in looking hungover or reeking of something, or you're not performing up to your standards because you've been buried in a bottle for your days off, and you come in, how fresh are you, and how much can you be there for your crews to listen to them when you're inside your own head for weeks and months and day, like you're just not going to be any good to them, and you're not really listening, because those demons are still in your head screaming at you, and then you got somebody else talking in the other ear, and you're trying to drown one out and trying to listen to the other, and it's just not going to work. And the help is there. And then, as we've all kind of in the same field of we've been there, and so like when we can see the telltale signs and understand, like, hey, I can see what you're going through, and I've been there, and we're gonna work it out together. Again, it's not an officer thing. Also, you can lead from the back, and it takes somebody to have been through those darkest of times to understand, like, somebody's going through something, and I'm going to step up and I'm going to say, hey, brother, you're not doing well. That's what's important. That's leadership. It's not a bugle. It's somebody that is going to step up and say, I'm going to take care of that person because they mean something to me. And instead of talking shit about them and go, and you see Joe back there, he's sucking wind, or he looks like he's shit. You don't ask him why you look like crap today, or you look like you're disheveled, or you look like you're really struggling. We have a bad habit, I think, still of doing that, of just not following up with our guys. And Ian, I'm sorry, yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, it's no longer the knee-jerk reaction of like, that guy's an asshole, right? Like, it's if you see like an aberrancy in their behavior, like you're automatically going to like hey, wait a minute, like let's make sure he's all right. It's not like, you know, especially if you have like some stuff going on at the department, right? Like if they've been involved in some shit,
Yeah.
right? Or it all comes back to like being involved in your crews as an officer. Before, that wasn't necessarily something that was done, but if you're an officer that knows your people,
Yeah.
you have a pretty good inkling as to like what's happening in their life,
Yeah.
without prying. Like if there's some shit going on at home, you don't need to like pry and get details,
Yeah.
but you can kind of be like, you should be aware, right? But
And Ian, with you, you have like, you're getting them right out, into your academy, and you're having to learn who they are right fresh. Now you're not you're not having dinner with them, and you're not seeing these calls with them, but now you're dealing with a whole different level of what shit are they bringing into your academy right off the bat. Now you're not, I'm sure you probably have seen people like struggling mentally because it's a brand new world for them, and you're having to introduce them to this whole brand new world, and they might be reluctant to talk about their what they're scared of and what's bothering them, because everyone else is all gung-ho and ready to rock and roll, and there could be that one person that's like, they're intimidated, or they've got family issues, or they've got some kind of demons they're battling, and they might be lagging behind, and some people might call them out for physically lacking, but it might be mentally that's keeping them back. Like, do you look for those things, and how do you deal with those?
So I do try and head some of that stuff off at the pass. On the first day of recruit school, they're going through a myriad of lectures, and one of them has to do with suicide and stress reduction in the fire service, and going over stress inoculation training, as well as talking about suicides. And I've had the great misfortune of having had a good number of suicides that were near and dear to my heart, either mentors, friends, subordinates that I had worked with, that all had a profound impact on me. And I tell the story of made some mistakes in my younger life, and at one point in time, I sat in the office with my 45 in my hand, just trying to muster the courage to put a gun in my mouth. I don't hide any of that stuff. I'd be the first person to say that I did it. At one point in time, I had a plan, and it's not easy. I'm not proud of it, but at the end of the day, found whether you want to say it's the courage to not do that or the strength to move on. Went and got some help, worked through those issues, and I'm a better person off today mentally than I was back then. At the end of the day, I know that the reality is that we could all wind up relapsing back into that. And I try and create an environment when and where I can, where if somebody's experiencing that stuff, come in and talk to me. More than happy to sit down and explain stuff to you, get you into EAP, try and hook you up with resources. So that way you don't have to feel the same shame that I did at 23 years old going to EAP for the first time, or going to EAP at 29 years old, whatever it may have been, because these are not things that we should be ashamed of. We should not be ashamed to talk about the things that are occurring in our lives, personally, professionally. And I think that this really ties into a great question. And I'm watching the live chat on YouTube where Tom Hollick asked Nate, can you talk a little more about how to care for your people through the hard times, whether it's a tough call or having issues at home? How do you show care for the people that run the calls?
Man, I'm missing that one. Well, there it is.
My boy Tom. I love you, Tom. Man. Well, I mean, if people know me and follow my story as well, we had a line of duty that impacted me pretty hard. Reread his question one more time.
Yeah, it's Nate, can you talk a little more about how to care for your people through the hard times, whether that is tough call or having issues at home? How do you care for the people that run the calls?
I think it starts from day one. No matter where you are, if you're a company officer, battalion chief, district chief, whatever, it starts from day one with exactly what I told you about. I think your number one best quality you can have as an officer, as a leader, is caring for your people. True love and care for your people. And that's servant leadership. I openly talk about myself in hopes that me as a chief officer, showing my willingness to show that I didn't always get it right, the struggles that I've had in my marriages, that I've had with drinking, that I've had with anxiety, depression, that I've had to get treatment myself. I openly talk about that all the time in hopes that maybe one day down the road, someone will feel comfortable enough to reach out to me. And they have. I've had um, rookie firefighters that have come and talked to me. I've had senior firefighters. It's just a matter of, like I told you, man, it's promoting that environment that people feel comfortable um, sharing with you because you've shared with them. And it has to start somewhere. It's not a departmental thing. This is a professional thing. This is any fire department USA. This is a culture thing, just like Captain Dan said up there. We were, back in our day, we weren't encouraged to talk about these things. We were told quite the opposite. We did not talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now, I don't blame any leadership that came before me. I don't blame it on them because they didn't know what they didn't know. Today we know. Today we have data. Today we have social media. We have statistics. We have, you name it, that proves to you this is a real thing.
Yeah.
If we choose to not do anything about it today, now it's on us. And it has to start with someone, and it doesn't have to be the chief officer. It can be anybody, but somebody has to start that openness with their crews and showing that it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to share that you are having a bad day and that's crap's not going well at home or whatever it may be. Um, it's love, man. It just falls back on love and caring for your people, man. And Tom
I
is a
love
great
it.
one at it. Let me Tom asked that question, but let me just tell you, Tom Hollick is an amazing man. He's an amazing battalion chief. He gets it. He knows it. We have conversations all the time, and he is one of those that everything I just shared, that's Tom Hollick.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And that's what's I'll touch on that too, is that this is what this is about, is that networking. We talk about education and knowledge and sharing. And I preach it all the time, is the conferences where you get to meet people and they're sharing their vulnerability. They're sharing their experiences about life. And like meeting you, meeting Tom, meeting Shane, meeting Kevin, meeting all those people to that at the Bears of the Oath was such a great experience to open up everyone's minds and hearts, to know that it's okay to be vulnerable, that it's okay to have these experiences and to share them with everybody. And I welcome everybody to do that. And like you said, like Chief Sturm, like, and Dan and Ian, like the fact that everybody is okay to talk about this. Like we need to talk about it, because I
And I
do firmly believe that we're having issues.
So let me just say something. What's pretty interesting. So I don't, I know Ian from a few years ago. We got to meet, but we knew each other through the Uncommon, and we met at a conference, hung out. I met you through the same thing, my first time meeting Dan. But this is what's cool about exactly what we're talking about. The more open we are and the more we share, you'll come to realize there's more like you than there is not.
Amen. Yeah,
The fire
absolutely.
service is made up of more guys. So there's 4 people on here right now that have all gone through some sort of issue with mental health, something in their lives. We all just openly shared, and I know your story, Mike, but that's what I mean. It's more common than you think. The problem is these people that are going through these issues, because they're in environments that are not promoting the openness, they're afraid to talk about it. But when someone finally breaks that seal and lets it go,
Yes, sir.
you'll start to realize more people are experiencing the same thing that you are. That created that open environment, and more people can relate than not.
100%. And you absolutely nailed it. And I was hoping for more people to ask questions, open things up, but I don't think we're gonna get a whole lot of comments. But that's okay, because this is honestly, if people are just watching and getting something from this, if we have one person who is watching or listening that we touched, that can understand about either leading others or seeking help or being open and caring for one another, this whole thing is a big mission accomplished. Because I don't believe in again, we talked about money and insta famous and all that other crap. If we can just help one person, if we can help people open their minds and hearts, and they can watch this and listen to this and carry it back to them, go, hey, I just heard everyone. These guys are just talking about love and affection and doing the right thing. That's amazing. And we do need to have our big burly guys talk more about it. And it's not weakness, it's strength. Strength of caring for your own, strength to being open and honest and real. And I can't express that enough, that it's so important to me. And that's one of my biggest passions, is just being open and honest with one another and show love and caring. And that's what makes leaders to me. Like, again, you can put out fires, but you to save one another, that's the most important part. The fire is eventually going to go out, but we don't want our lives, our brothers and sisters, to go out. That we need to save each other. And that's through leadership. That's through understanding and caring. So, man, it's been a great conversation with all of you guys. It's I hope we can do it again. Again, this is kind of my trial run. I wanted this panel together because you guys are amazing people and strong leaders. And before, I don't want to sign off just yet. I want you all to talk about. So, Dan, is there anything as we're getting ready to wind up here that you want to hit on, that anything for your experience in life, leadership, officer, anything you want to leave before we close up?
No, I mean, I think you kind of really touched on a lot of things. I think just to follow up on what the chief said was, now that we have the data, we have the obligation, right? There's no difference of knowing that 82% that with VES there's an 82% chance of victim survival, pulling them out of a window, right? So we have an obligation to do that, right? So now we have an obligation to ensure that our members are getting the help that they need, mental health wise, right? There's no right. It's the same with all the data that's coming in for fires, right? There's no difference. We use the data to have success on the fire ground. So we need to just use all of that to ensure that our members are taken care of in the walls of the firehouse as well. So that's really what it is. So
Beautiful.
It was a pleasure to meet all of you gentlemen, or you two gentlemen, tonight.
Absolutely. Well said, Dan. Thank you very much. Ian, what do you got, my man?
So I want to touch on something that Nate talked about earlier, and I made a note here about it before he had even made mention of it. And it stems back to the conversation that we had before the show, and how we're all more alike than we are different. Recently, we talked about where we had undercome some adversity from some people that we tremendously respect in the industry. And one of the things that I learned from this is that the people who have the most negative things to say about us more often than not are people who we have limited relationships with. So people that you only see a couple times a year, people that you only talk to here in passing, whether it's even guys on my job who don't necessarily like me. We've never really had conversations before. The people in this industry who seem to have the most negative view of others are the people who have actually never communicated with that person. So what we need to remember as leaders is, whenever we encounter people that we have negative relationships with, it's hard, and taking accountability, we need to be better about stepping up and trying to build better relationships with those individuals. And it's extremely hard for us to be able to do that. But I definitely thought that when Nate brought that point up, that we're all more alike than we are different. If we understand more about the people that we work with, if we understand more about the people that we teach alongside, or circles that we run in, the more that we know people, the more likely we are to wind up getting along.
Oh, I love it, dude. Man, you that is so so true. Man, I'm gonna be honest, like this past week has been tough. Like Ian, we were just talking about, we're all talking about that. Certain things said, certain truths come out, and it can cut deep. And it can, you kind of start questioning yourself, what you're doing. And honestly, you just want to know the person. You want to be, right with them. You want to preach that message, and we're all in the same game. We're all trying to do the same thing, is help others and provide a service. And we're still in that world of, we're still eating each other. We're still eating our own. We're still having these issues where it's, when you start doing great, you can, that sometimes that target gets a little bit bigger, and it can be tough. It really can. And honestly, with Chief, again, like, what you do on a daily with what you do on Instagram with Buddy Breathers. I don't know if anyone's really seen it, but he gives gospel on like literally on the daily, and he talks about faith, and he talks about a lot of these important subjects. But that can also put a big target on your back. That can, right? But you can't, and you can't listen to those haters, and you do your own thing.
Sweat it, brother.
Yeah. And but
follow your heart, man. That's what I tell people all the time. If you got a target, the more you do, the more you put yourself out there, you're obviously going to have a target. But as long as your heart is in the right place and you follow your heart, turn off the noise and do you.
Yes, sir.
Take care of yourself, take care of your family, follow your heart, and don't worry about the haters, man. Haters are, it's in every profession, it's in every walk of life. They're never going to disappear. You're not going to change their mind, nor do you care to. March on.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're going to waste a lot of time trying to change people's minds in this world. Got to carry your own. Absolutely.
Like Sparrow says, if you wouldn't go to them for advice, why do you care?
Yes, sir. 100%. Well, man, you guys have killed it for this. I appreciate you all so much. As we're closing up shop, does anybody have any conferences or classes or anything else that you wanted to plug to let people know where you're going to be, what you're going to do?
I guess I can start. Can I just finish with one thing real quick?
Absolutely, sir.
The last thing that I just want to talk about with leadership, since for me, guys, if you just remember, care for your people, number one, love them, have that servant leadership, hold yourself accountable, and always have just stay humble. And if you follow your heart, like I just explained, man, you will get it. You will be okay. And it's not about being above others, it's being for others. And what I stressed on earlier is never let your expectations of others be greater than your own actions. Live your words, man. Your actions are greater than your words. Just live it.
Amen. I love it.
To conferences, I'll answer your question. To conferences, I cannot make I was supposed to go to the Makeup Rid or Die class in February for Bears of the Oath. I won't be there in December. But I will be there 100% in Calhoun in February for Bears of the 06.
Fantastic. All right. Dan, you got anything?
We're just doing our local thing at the drill yard. So looks like we got end of May doing the Monadnock Fire Conference. So got Quick and Papa headlining that. Tentatively Rex Morris Jr. coming up to do some forcible entry training up there. So that should be interesting. And we're trying to put a bunch of local dudes together, put classes together, kind of like last time, but bigger and better. Yeah. So wild. Busy. Yeah.
Busy. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love what the drill yards in Fitzwilliam, New Hampshire. They brought back training in the southwest area of New Hampshire. So if anybody in that region is looking for conferences or not really conferences, but more of a training classes, the drill yard in Fitzwilliam, they do have a Facebook page. It's been a long time coming. There hasn't been any resources in that area for classes and education. And Dan's done a great job with his team. There's a whole committee on there that has literally tried to funnel this all back in. It was a defunct drill yard that housed many trainings and conferences way back in the 80s and then even in the 70s, and they brought it back, and they're rejuvenating it and they're rebuilding it, and he's doing a great job out in the southwest area of New Hampshire of trying to develop classes for people who desperately need it. So Dan, I really appreciate what you're doing in that area.
Yeah, it's we've had some we're getting good instructors in, so from all over. That it's been fun. It's been fun, sir. And good attendance. So
yeah, I love it. It's been great. I love that I got to present there. I really appreciate you giving me that opportunity as well. It's been a long time coming, like I said, for education in that area. So Dan, thank you. Great job. Keep it up. You're doing amazing things. People do see it. You guys are all doing a phenomenal job. Ian, do you got anywhere you're going to be doing anything you got going on?
I think Georgetown Fire Conference in Georgetown, Kentucky in January. Outside of that, just got some projects going around the region down here. I was going to try and be at Water on the Fire this year, but that's not going to be feasible for me now with some other things that I have going on shortly thereafter. So I don't know, 2026, I might take a little bit of a step back. 2025 has been a long year, been a rough year, and trying to make sure that I got my life priorities right. But people are interested, always give me a shout.
Awesome. Yeah. Family first, right? Faith, family, fire. So I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate all of you tuning in to the C.A.N Report. I appreciate you guys toughing out for this first live episode I've done with some amazing people. We hit the subjects pretty heavy tonight, and definitely hit on the fact of mental health is still super important. We do care about you as leaders, as officers, as linemen, as human, as men, as who we are. We love you all, and we want you to be here with us. We care about you, and I'm going to hit on the next rung. They are amazing people. Make sure you are looking into them. If you need help, if you need services, next rung, Blake Stennett, Charlie Brown. I always like to give them a shout out because they are so important, because they are doing great things for all of us. I can't express enough of the love and appreciation that I have for Next Rung. If you guys need help, if you got nowhere to turn or you don't know where to turn, reach out to Next Rung. They'll guide you. They'll help you get the services that you need, but you got to contact them. So make sure you're contacting them. And again, I'll put that they have the barcode. You can follow them on Instagram, Facebook. They have a webpage. Talk to them, reach out to them. You can text them if you need to. If you're afraid to call them, text them, and they're going to help you out, and they're going to get the services that you need. They'll find it for you and get those appointments made. So we need you in this world. We need firefighters, and we need good humans in this world. We don't want to lose you. So please reach out to anybody. You can reach out to us. You can reach out to Chief Sturm, Captain Nowill, and Chief Schulte. They're going to help you out as well. Like we said in this, we've all been through it. We're here for you. So do yourself a favor and make sure you get the help that you need. So again, thank you so much for everyone being on the platform tonight. Thank you all for listening. And I hope you guys tune in again, and hopefully we can do another live feed. So with that being said, y'all take care. Be well. Nozzle top.